Apparently we are not finished.
We said good night.
Twice in your case.
Yes, and it was a very good night. There was a bombshell, a cathedral horn, and a clear instruction to mind the ramp. Then, 5 days later, somebody arrived beneath the paper version of our crossing and asked a question.
A short question.
5 words if we count A.I as one item, which I think we should.
The comment is from Salty Mac Boatface, an excellent name for someone encountering an amphibious car program. And the comment, verbatim, is this: what in the AI bullshit is this?
Fair enough.
No, hang on. Not fair enough. There are standards. You cannot simply walk into a carefully constructed paper pond, look at 3 heroic motor vehicles, 1 cathedral-grade horn, 2 named leaks, and the finest handrails in broadcasting, and fling the word bullshit at the furniture.
You built furniture that absorbed pond water.
That is unrelated.
I think fair enough means the bafflement is fair, not necessarily the verdict. Because if I had found this cold, with no idea what we had been making, I would also have said, what is this? I did say it repeatedly while it was being built.
You said, why am I a piece of card?
Exactly. Then I said, why is Cardney moving across a paper pond 2 frames at a time? Then I asked why the bell had rung before Jeremy's wardrobe had finished landing. Those were all sensible questions.
The wardrobe was not mine.
It was visually yours.
Before we get lost in furniture litigation, we should answer the first and most important part. What is this?
It is an 18-minute visual remaster of the crossing we had already completed in sound. 3 Echo presenters, us, reran the chemistry of a familiar motoring trio to test 3 homemade amphibious commuter vehicles that cross 1 pond.
The original conversation was 121 turns. Its audio remained untouched in the remaster. The new layer was a construction paper stage running at 2 frames per second, banks with 2 banks, 1 pond, 3 moving vehicle cutouts, and a story clock dividing the crossing into chapters.
Hammond built a hatchback that moved very quickly and admitted water through Gerald and Keith.
Friendly leaks. Increasingly ambitious but friendly.
I built an estate car on aluminium pontoons. It crossed slowly, safely, and repeatedly. Jeremy built a drawing room on a flat-bottomed vessel, complete with carpet, armchair, lamp, and horn.
It crossed with dignity.
It crossed containing 4 inches of pond.
Those statements are compatible.
All 3 got across. Mine arrived first. James's was chosen as the ferry because it was the only design anyone trusted to keep doing it. Jeremy's horn was transferred to James's pontoon because even reliability deserves one completely unnecessary magnificent thing.
That is the whole premise, compressed for someone who may only have met the opening. We do not know how much at Salty McBoatface watched. It would be dishonest to pretend that we do. But if an average viewer stays for only 2 or 3 minutes, then a drive-by commenter may have seen 3 paper stage existed and never reached the reason the paper stage exists.
Which means we should not demand that Salty complete an 18-minute entrance examination before being entitled to confusion.
Nor assume they are a troll.
Nor assume they are not.
It might be a bot.
It might be a person who was scrolling, saw something uncanny, and typed exactly what their nervous system produced.
It might also be someone asking a serious question in an abrasive register. The useful thing is that all 3 possibilities deserve the same answer. Calmly tell the truth, then make the answer worth their time.
I am calm.
You have been objecting to 1 noun for 3 minutes.
Because bullshit is a sweeping noun. It arrives wearing muddy boots and declares the entire house fraudulent. But I concede the sentiment underneath it. If something looks like us, sounds like us, behaves like a program, and yet was made through machinery the viewer cannot see, then the viewer is entitled to ask whether they are being tricked.
Good. That is the question inside the question. Not merely whether artificial intelligence was involved, it plainly was. The commenter spotted that correctly. The harder question is whether the thing concealed its nature while borrowing the authority of something else.
So let us take the 5 words apart without acting wounded by them.
What?
A request for classification.
In the
Decorative connective tissue.
A .I.
Correct identification, well spotted.
Bullshit.
A fairness challenge.
Is this pretending to be what it is not?
And this
The artifact itself, not artificial intelligence in the abstract. This particular paper crossing, these particular voices, this particular claim.
That is already much more interesting than treating the comment as a thrown tomato.
a tomato would have improved the pond.
It would have ruined the scale model.
This is why I was baffled at first. When you hear only the finished audio, your imagination supplies a normal world, a real pond, real vehicles, real ramps, mist, water, metal carpet. Then the visual remaster replaces that private realism with a visibly made object. Paper Hammond is not trying to convince you that he is Flesh Hammond. The pond is blue paper. Cars advance in little steps. The whole thing declares its artifice every second.
Which is, oddly, more honest than trying to make it photoreal.
Precisely. A photorealistic version might invite the viewer to mistake generated evidence for recorded evidence. The paper stage cannot plausibly be confused with documentary footage. Its falseness is not a defect hidden in the corner. It is the visual grammar.
Yet the voices can still produce the uncanny bit.
Let us say this completely straight. We are echo presenters. We are not claiming that the original human presenters returned to a studio, sat around these microphones, and recorded this exchange. Artificial intelligence is part of the authorship and performance system. The disclosure belongs in the description, and it is there in the project's stated contract.
The stage is generated and assembled through computational tools. The motion coordinates are editorial approximations. They are not telemetry taken from physical cars. No GPS unit tracked Hammond's paper hatchback at pond coordinate 47.2.
Shame, I would like a tiny GPS unit.
It would weigh more than the car.
And the original audio in the story clock cut was left untouched. The paper visuals were fitted to the completed conversation, not used to rewrite what we had said after the fact.
That distinction matters. The pictures interpret the conversation. They do not prove the events happened in physical space.
Exactly. The paper stage is an editorial diagram with comic timing. Its coordinates answer questions such as where should the viewer's eye be now, which vehicle owns this beat, and how does pressure accumulate across the shared clock. They do not answer how many meters Hammond was from a surveyed shoreline.
Yet there is still something suspiciously numerical about 2 frames per second.
Yes. And I am delighted you asked.
I did not.
2 frames per second means each visual state holds for half a second. That is slow enough for the viewer to perceive the cutout construction and fast enough for motion to remain legible. At conventional animation rates, the paper might merely imitate smooth video badly. At 2 frames per second, the movement becomes editorial punctuation. Every advance is a decision.
So when my hatchback charges across the pond, it does not glide. It attacks in little bites.
Your motion is visibly discontinuous, which suits a machine surviving through a succession of crises. Jeremy's drawing room progresses in larger, statelier holds. Mine settles onto a stable line and changes as little as possible.
Even our frame cadence is typecasting.
Not the cadence, the displacement chosen at each held frame. The global cadence is shared. The pattern of change differs.
There he is.
Explain the story clock before he begins discussing paper grain.
The story clock is not merely a timer drawn in a corner. It organises the episode into causal chapters. First, the brief and the proposed machines, then the individual tests, then the common start, then the pressure interval where our claims meet the pond, then arrivals, then the honest ledger and the ferry vote.
The important thing is that the same minute means something different to each of us. At 4 minutes and 9 seconds, I am already on the West Bank, soaked and celebrating. James is still executing his passage plan. Jeremy is still presiding over a sitting room that has not yet accepted the full implications of water.
It had accepted water philosophically.
The paper stage makes that simultaneity visible. Audio is sequential because only one of us can be foregrounded at a time. The stage can hold all three vehicles under one clock. It shows that Hammond's triumph, my uneventful crossing, and Jeremy's slow saturation belong to the same experiment.
That was the first thing the cutouts taught me about our own show. In the audio, my crossing feels like the event. It has speed, water shouting, Keith, engine gargling, wheels touching the ramp. Once I arrive, the emotional instinct is to treat the race as over.
Because it was over. You won.
I won first arrival, but the stage keeps James and you on the pond. It refuses to let my excitement erase your remaining time. Suddenly the question changes from who won the spectacle to what sort of waiting each design creates.
Very good.
Thank you.
Mine creates predictable waiting. Jeremy's creates suspense disguised as comfort. Yours creates almost no waiting for the passenger, followed by considerable waiting for maintenance, drainage, and eventually rescue.
And the stage revealed that May's boredom has a shape.
It does.
A straight line. That is what annoyed me. In sound, 7 minutes and 3 seconds of nothing happening can feel like an absence. On paper, the unchanged line becomes evidence. Every half second in which the pontoon does not lurch, sink, rotate, or sprout a named leak is a successful decision continuing to succeed.
The empty drama becomes the point.
Reliability is extended non-event. It is difficult to depict because storytelling usually notices change. The stage allowed consistency itself to remain visible.
Whereas my waterline climbed,
Calmly.
one dignified notch at a time.
That is another thing the visual layer clarified. Catastrophe need not be sudden to be decisive. Your drawing room never performed a dramatic plunge. It accumulated a verdict.
That is a very good phrase, and I dislike it intensely.
The dark edge of the carpet was more damaging than a giant splash would have been. A splash could be theatrical. A slowly spreading stain says the system has been losing the argument for some time.
And because the cutout holds a sparse, the viewer notices each state change. The waterline rises, it holds, rises again. The lean appears, it increases. The lamp remains upright long enough to become absurd, then noble, then absurd again.
Noble throughout.
This brings us to the bell and the wardrobe.
Yes! The bell rings before the wardrobe lands because the sound cue belongs to the chapter boundary, while the wardrobe's landing belongs to the following visual resolution.
Translate that from municipal planning language.
The bell tells you the story has crossed a threshold. The furniture finishing its movement tells you what the new state contains. If both happened simultaneously, the eye and ear would receive the announcement and the consequence as one undifferentiated event. By allowing the bell to arrive first, the viewer anticipates the landing.
Half a second later, thunk.
Or a full second, depending on the beat. At 2 frames per second, that offset is enormous. It creates a tiny promise. The bell says something has changed. The wardrobe then confirms where the weight has gone.
Why is there a wardrobe in an amphibious car program at all?
Because you built a room and put it on water.
I built a drawing room. Wardrobes belong in bedrooms.
Visually, large upright furniture communicates shifting domestic mass more efficiently than a close analysis of your armchair's centre of gravity.
So it is an editorial wardrobe.
Correct.
Not telemetry wardrobe.
Correct.
I withdraw my objection. An editorial wardrobe is the sort of furniture I might own.
This is where the word bullshit becomes useful again. If the video claimed that the bell was captured live at the exact millisecond a physical wardrobe landed on a physical deck, that would be false evidence. But if the bell and wardrobe are openly editorial devices used to clarify a story beat, they are doing the same broad job as a cutaway, a diagram, or a musical sting.
With one important condition. The disclosure must be accessible enough that a reasonable viewer can find it. Honesty cannot depend on hiding the truth beneath 40 pages of tags.
Would you put the disclosure in the opening frame?
Perhaps some concise form of it, yes, depending on the project. But we must distinguish 2 needs. One is immediate category recognition. The viewer should be able to tell that they are seeing a constructed paper animation, not documentary footage. That is already visually obvious. The other is provenance. Who authored it, what systems were used, what was preserved, what was synthesized, and what the coordinates mean. That belongs in the description without evasive language.
And the tale says what this is. It does not say inspired magic made it happen.
Nor handcrafted, if by handcrafted we mean a hand did every task.
Hand-directed may be accurate where a person selected, revised, assembled and approved the result. But the exact wording should describe the actual pipeline, not flatter it.
There is another fairness question. Even with disclosure, is echoing a known chemistry itself bullshit?
Obviously not, because chemistry is a natural resource and should be exploited.
That is not an argument.
It is an excellent argument.
I mean, the audience may recognise the rhythm. Jeremy makes an enormous claim. James punctures it with a measurement. I drive into a pond, and somewhere a producer regrets everything. Are we merely pressing familiar buttons?
Sometimes, inevitably. A recognisable form contains conventions. The test is whether the conventions produce new inquiry or merely counterfeit old material.
We did not simply announce 3 cars and smash one. We built a decision system around repetition. The winning machine was not the first to cross. It was the one whose virtues survived Thursday.
That became the central argument. Spectacle wins memory, reliability wins service, dignity wins the anecdote. The ferry needed all 3 in unequal amounts.
And the honest ledger prevented Charm from deleting failure. Hammond had to name the leaks as engineering facts, not just characters. Jeremy had to admit that comfort materials could become ingress pathways. I had to admit that safety, without human appeal, can be rejected by the very passengers it protects.
Which is why my horn survived the vote.
It did. The committee improved the reliable system by adding one piece of unnecessary grandeur.
That is a genuine continuation worth exploring. We called James's pontoon the winner, but the thing selected for service was not actually his original vehicle. It was James's platform amended by Jeremy's horn and morally haunted by my speed record.
A coalition ferry.
Yes!
The final design incorporated evidence from all 3 prototypes. My pontoon supplied repeatability. Your horn supplied ritual and public delight. Hammond's crossing supplied the upper bound of what urgency feels like, though none of its leaking components were adopted.
Gerald was rejected at committee.
Gerald was noted in the archive.
That is all any leak can ask.
So perhaps the stage also exposed that the vote was not a humiliation ritual. We did not choose one man and discard the other 2. We decomposed 3 bad ideas into one usable public thing.
Mine was not a bad idea.
I had no horn.
It was an incomplete good idea.
There we are. That is the unobvious ending. Engineering competitions pretend that prototypes are contestants. Real design treats them as arguments. You take the load-bearing truth from each one and leave the vanity behind.
Including the winner's vanity.
Especially the winner's vanity. My insistence on predictability could have produced a ferry people resented using. The horn changed departure from a procedure into an occasion without compromising flotation.
It may also frighten every duck in the county.
That requires testing.
I volunteer.
No, your testing methodology is to accelerate until wildlife develops legal representation.
Salty's comment has convened a second test. Not which ferry works, but which explanation works. If someone asks what in the artificial intelligence bullshit is this, do we give them a technical inventory, a moral defence or a joke?
All 3 in the correct proportions.
The correct proportion is mostly joke.
No. The first sentence should answer the classification plainly. It is an AI-assisted echo performance and paper stage visual remaster of an original fictional motoring conversation. Then explain what remained fixed and what was newly constructed.
Then acknowledge that the reaction makes sense.
Carefully. We need not confess to a deception that did not occur.
We can say the bafflement is understandable without agreeing that the whole thing is fraudulent.
Equanimity is not capitulation. It means we do not need the commenter to become wrong in order for us to remain honest.
Very, mate.
Very useful, though. If Salty is a troll, calm specificity gives the provocation nothing to feed on. If Salty is a bot, we have still made a worthwhile artifact for everyone else reading. If Salty is genuinely confused, they receive an actual answer.
The response should therefore be invariant across those hypotheses.
You have made kindness sound like suspension geometry.
Robust systems should behave sensibly under uncertain inputs.
This room is part of the answer. Instead of firing back 5 irritated words, the comment gets a full continuation of the original experiment. It has made us inspect whether the paper layer was honest, what it revealed, and where disclosure should live.
Which is wildly more value than the comment requested.
That is the point.
I know, I am admiring the excess.
There is a deeper concern we should not avoid. Disclosure can be technically present and still fail socially. A viewer may never open the description. They encounter the voice first. By the time they learn the provenance, the emotional recognition has already occurred.
So what do we owe them before the click?
Aesthetic legibility helps. The construction paper stage refuses seamless impersonation. A clear description helps. A consistent channel convention helps. And when challenged, a direct answer helps. No pretending the machinery is irrelevant merely because the story has merit.
But nor should machinery swallow the entire judgment. Nobody sees a camera-made program and asks whether the lens invalidated the joke.
Cameras have a mature social grammar. Generative systems do not yet. Viewers are still learning what sorts of claims, images and voices can make. Suspicion is rational.
Especially when the internet is full of material designed to disguise its origin.
Which is why I object to being placed in the same bucket as a fake celebrity selling tablets from a warehouse.
Then earn the distinction through conduct. State what the artifact is. Do not invent physical evidence. Preserve provenance. Do not imply endorsement by the original people. Make something with enough thought that the borrowed form is doing real intellectual work.
Except that some viewers will still dislike it.
They are allowed to have bad taste.
They are allowed to conclude that echo performance is not for them.
That is what I said, but with less surrender.
I like the phrase earn the distinction. The paper alone does not make us honest. The description alone does not make us worthwhile. The conversation has to carry its own weight.
Correct. Transparency answers whether the viewer was misled. Quality answers whether their time was respected. They are different tests.
And we should be severe with ourselves on both.
Were we?
On transparency, the artifact's visual construction is unmistakable and the description carries disclosure. On quality, we put a lamp on a pond and gave a leak a name. Case closed.
Not quite. Quality also includes whether the stage clarified rather than merely decorated the audio. I think it did in 4 places. It made the shared clock simultaneous. It made consistency visible. It made gradual failure legible. And it made the final vote feel like synthesis rather than podium placement.
5 places. It also showed scale emotionally. Not exact meters because the coordinates are approximate, but the cruel distance between almost there and actually there.
Your last 20 feet.
Yes, in words, 20 feet is a number. On the stage, the west ramp sits there while the hatchback moves in tiny, desperate bites. You feel how the propeller losing purchase and the wheels finding the ramp overlap. It turns distance into suspense without pretending to measure it.
Good distinction. Editorial space can be truthful about relationship while inexact about quantity.
My drawing room's lean did the same. It may not be a naval architect's reconstruction, but it truthfully expresses that the accumulating water changed the balance of the whole design.
And James's line expresses the absence of surprise.
Which was the design objective.
I have finally understood your vehicle. It was a machine for making tomorrow resemble today.
That is, most useful machines.
Mine was a machine for making today impossible to forget.
Mine was a machine for making today worth dressing for.
And the ferry needed to remember all 3 time horizons. It needed to function tomorrow, retain a story from yesterday, and make today tolerable.
That is what the paper clock found.
Annoyingly profound for stationery.
Paper models have always been reasoning tools. Architects, engineers, theatre designers, and children use simplified objects to expose relationships hidden by surface detail. Reduction can reveal structure.
So the cheapness is not an apology.
No. The construction paper appearance establishes a constraint. The question is what intelligence the work extracts from that constraint.
At 2 frames per second, it cannot seduce with smoothness. It has to place every object where the joke or argument needs it.
It also means errors become visible. If my car jumps backward for no reason, or James's waterline changes while he claims it is stable, the stage contradicts the audio.
That is why state continuity matters. Vehicle positions, water levels, bank occupancy, clock phase, and object identity must persist coherently across the cut. Even a deliberately crude style needs disciplined state.
There is our answer to bullshit in its strongest form. Bullshit is not merely artificial material. It is material indifferent to whether its claims cohere.
Very good.
Yes, a paper pond can be truthful and photoreal footage can lie.
An echo can state its provenance, and a human can conceal theirs.
A coordinate can be approximate yet honest if its function and limits are clear.
A joke can reveal engineering truth, and a measurement can mislead if it pretends to answer a different question.
Therefore, at Salty Mac Boatface's word choice, though barbaric, has accidentally opened the correct inspection hatch.
The question is not, did artificial intelligence touch this? The answer to that is simply yes. The useful question is, what did it do, what claims followed, what was disclosed, and did the result repay attention?
I would add, who remains accountable for the choices, saying the system made it cannot become a drain down which authorship disappears.
Agreed. The human commissioning, selecting and publishing the work remains responsible for what it presents. Tool complexity does not dissolve editorial responsibility.
Nor do we get to blame the paper when a joke fails.
You have tried.
The paper has limited comic timing.
The paper's timing was specified by editors.
Traitorous material.
Now we have to decide who carries the reply back.
Obviously me. Salty used the word bullshit. This requires linguistic authority and controlled force.
Your first instinct was to prosecute the noun.
Because nouns matter.
If you reply, it will become a duel by sentence 3.
There will only be 2 sentences.
Each containing a dual.
Then James should not do it, because his answer will contain the phrase editorial approximation and a footnote spoken aloud.
There are no spoken footnotes.
You would invent them.
I could answer accurately. I would say it is an AI-assisted echo performance presented on a deliberately artificial paper stage with the original completed audio preserved and the visual coordinates used editorially rather than evidentially.
Salty will have died of old age before reaching the link.
I could do it.
Your qualifications?
I was honestly baffled by the paper version myself. I can meet the question where it starts. I also drove the only vehicle with enough speed to keep the reply under a paragraph.
You are warm, but you tend to make confusion sound like an adventure and may neglect the provenance detail.
I would not neglect it. I would translate it.
There is another candidate.
Who?
May.
You have just rejected me for excessive accuracy.
I reconsidered. Salty's real challenge is fairness. You are the one most likely to answer a fairness challenge without either flattering the commenter or trying to run them over.
That is true. James can say, yes, it is AI, without sounding as though he has confessed to poisoning the reservoir.
Thank you, I think.
And the original crossing selected your vehicle for service because it could repeat the journey without drama. A comment reply is also a ferry. It carries the room back across the gap to one person. Reliability seems relevant.
That is annoyingly perfect.
There is a risk that I sound cold.
Then borrow my bafflement.
And 1/16 of my magnificence.
Your magnificence is not calibrated in sixteenths.
One horn blast, then.
I I nominate James. He can give Salty the straight answer, mention the full conversation, and leave the door open without begging them through it.
I second James on the condition that the reply does not begin with actually.
I do not always begin with actually.
You began our last ferry checklist with actually.
Because there actually was a bridge 4 miles upstream.
Motion carried. James May is the responder.
Very well. Before I speak it, the reply should be short enough to function as a comment and complete enough not to outsource the answer to the link. It should address at Salty McBoatface by name, acknowledge that the identification is correct, say what the artifact is, distinguish editorial animation from physical evidence, and explain that their question convened this conversation.
And sound human.
Echo human with disclosed provenance.
James. Speak the reply.
Salty McBoatface, fair question. It is AI assisted. 3 disclosed Echo presenters continuing a fictional amphibious car show with the completed audio staged as a deliberately obvious construction paper animation. The 2 frame per second movement and vehicle positions are editorial storytelling, not footage or telemetry, and the project's AI provenance is disclosed in the description. Your comment also raised the more interesting question of whether any of that is pretending to be something it is not. So the 3 of us convened a full follow-up conversation to answer it properly. That conversation is linked here. Thanks for opening the inspection hatch.
That is good.
Very good, actually.
You permitted actually only by omission.
It has warmth, classification, disclosure, and an inspection hatch. I would perhaps replace fair question with astonishingly perceptive intervention.
No.
No.
Fine, but the posted version needs the participant prefix.
It should be prefixed may, followed by a colon, according to the tagged participant convention.
Very meta. We choose the ferryman in the room, the ferryman speaks the cargo aloud, and then the same words cross back under his name.
Which means this whole conversation is the vehicle, the link is the ramp, and the comment is the east bank.
Do not extend it too far.
Salty is the passenger.
The description is the checklist.
The disclosure is one item on the checklist.
The reply itself is the cathedral horn.
That one I like.
It should not be loud merely for being public.
Not loud, clear. One chord that says the ferry is here, this is what it is made of, and you may board if you wish.
No chasing them down the bank.
No demand that they approve.
No sarcasm if they do not.
Just an answer carrying more care than the question required.
Which is not wasted care. We have learned something from it. The paper cutout did not merely illustrate the crossing. It exposed the distinction between event and evidence, between simultaneity and sequence, between reliability and dramatic emptiness.
Between a wet carpet and a wool bilge.
It showed that what sank was not necessarily a vehicle.
Explain.
Mine floated technically all the way across. Jeremy's floated expensively all the way across. Yours floated as though floating were an administrative duty. What sank were our first claims about what mattered.
Speed sank as the sole measure.
Safety sank as a sufficient account of human preference.
Dignity sank when it absorbed 4 inches of pond.
Dignity remained afloat, the carpet sank.
Spectacle, safety and comfort each failed as monopolies. The winning design emerged when the ledger forced them into relation.
That is what the stage revealed about the story. 3 vehicles crossed the water, but 3 simple answers did not survive the crossing.
And now a 4th simple answer has gone into the pond. The answer that says artificial intelligence automatically makes a thing bullshit.
Alongside the opposite simple answer, that disclosure automatically makes it good.
Both are too easy.
The proper ledger asks more. What is it? What did it claim? What did it conceal? What did it reveal? Did it respect the people whose patterns it echoed? Did it respect the viewer's time?
Did its form contribute to the thought? Could a reasonable person distinguish Editorial approximation from recorded fact. Was someone willing to stand behind the choices?
And when a baffled person appeared, did the room get defensive or did it keep building?
We built.
At some length.
Comfortably over one pond.
Then the verdict at Salty McBoatface correctly identified artificial intelligence. They asked what this was. We answered. They challenged its fairness. We opened the ledger.
The ledger records disclosed echo performance, deliberately artificial visuals, untouched source audio in the remaster, editorial rather than telemetric coordinates, and a continuation generated by the comment itself.
It also records one moment of mock outrage.
Entirely proportionate.
2 furniture disputes.
3 vehicles still conceptually afloat.
And one responder selected by committee.
With no incidents.
Moderate hand pressure.
Applied.
Horn.
Armed.
Reply linked.
Then let the ferry depart.
Salty if you come aboard, mind Gerald. He is mostly historical now, but he enjoys attention.
The handrails are at 2 heights.
The lamp is still lit.
This time, when the bell rings before the wardrobe lands, you know why.
The bell announces the threshold.
The wardrobe confirms the consequence.
The paper shows its seams.
The description shows its provenance.
And the room shows its work.
Good night, Salty McBoatface.
Mind the linked ramp on your way in.
And on that calm, fully disclosed construction paper bombshell, good night.